she make it clap. I got the strap, 21 gats, feel like I'm savage. 21 bitches and none of them average. I'm gon' fuck me tonight, me a bad bitch. I don't give a fuck about niggas, I don't give a fuck about hoes. I don't give a fuck about your bros, I don't give a fuck about your toes, your hoes, your manicure, pedicure toes. I'm coming on the block with the rocks, 20-inch Glocks in my socks. Niggas keep doing that crazy ass shit. If I go to jail, I'ma keep a lock in the.
Alright, this is a new order for Naruto, meliodas. Yeah, so we start off when, oh, this is fan requested too. Yeah. Ship is gonna be Meliodas and Elizabeth. Yeah. That's, oh yeah, okay, excuse me. Now we start off for Naruto. 13-year-old boy. He's running from a horde of villagers because of, wait. I got it. Because he's so weak. Yeah. Because he's so weak. He doesn't have the 9 tails in this. I'm actually the 9 tails. No tail beast in this, but it's curse marks. Yeah. Or yeah. That should be good. It's curse marked. And as he's running, if you guys remember where Jiraiya pushed Naruto so he could summon Gamabunta, so he could use his 9 tails chakra, that big old cliff. Naruto runs and he trips and falls. As the villagers slow down, they look over to see Naruto falling. As Naruto's falling, he lands on the ground, breaking an arm. Wait a minute. He knows some jutsus, okay? I'm not gonna make him. Never mind, I'm not gonna say it. He does a water bullet to try to cushion his fall. As soon as he just like land inside of the water. So as soon as the water hits the ground, he hits the ground on the water. Yeah. As he's in this ravine, you should call it, all the villagers seem like a actually, you can't even see in that bitch. It's so fucking deep. Never mind, they don't see nothing. They walk back thinking he's dead and they celebrate. Besides one little girl named Elizabeth. Yeah. Got a good, yeah. Besides one little girl named Elizabeth. She's royalty. Oh yeah, this taking place in this Naruto world and the whatchamacallit world combined. The 7DS world combined. Or should I? No, just the royalty part. Is, yeah, the royalty part. And yeah. Naruto says, Naruto gets up as he's tried to cushion his fall. He just sprained an ankle and fractured his arm. As he's walking, he hears a loud boom above him, and he's like, what was that? But it was the villagers partying over his grave, or supposedly where he died. As Naruto walks until he finds a cave, or a cave inside the ravine. He moves a couple rocks out of the way to get inside. As he sees he sees an envelope. Well, no. I want to make this unique as possible. He sees a statue. Yeah, a statue. Naruto goes up to the statue and says, "How is this thing?" As he touches it, and a big, like a black darkness, it just destroys that village, along with, it destroys the village, along with the ravine. As Naruto, he wakes up, and he says, he looks at his hands, and as he looks at his hands, he notices something different. He says, "What the?" As he gets up and he goes to some water, as he looks on the water, to see that he has a wait, where is it? The first meliodas photo. Actually, no. I can't make him that powerful yet. He has a train. He has to get angry. Yeah. But everyone, actually, no. The village, it got destroyed, but it didn't get like obliterated. It probably got probably like 1,000 out of 100,000 people died of that village. Because the blast wasn't that. It's like the aftershock that killed everyone. Yeah, the aftershock. But it destroyed that ravine and the villagers by it. Just saying. As Naruto says, those were 1,000 that were killed. Those, it was like that. Anyways, Naruto, he sees something on his forehead. It's like a kind of a mark. It's not that mark that y'all see in the picture. It's different. It's the first mark that he has. Yeah, the first Meliodas mark. As he touches it, and he feels darkness inside of him. As he says, Naruto says, what is this? As he wipes his eyes to double check he's not still sleeping. As he rubs him and he knows that he's not sleeping anymore. As he jumps up excited, up and down, thinking, yes, I have a curse mark. Yes, I have a curse mark. But to him, this isn't any regular curse mark. I mean, this isn't, but unknowing of Naruto, this isn't any ordinary curse mark. It's a powerful one. It's legendary. It's mythical. I think I said that right. Mythic. It's mythic. Yeah. Naruto, as he jumps up, he jumps higher than he ever has before, and he hits his head on a piece of rock. As the curse mark disappears, he feels it disappear. As he has kind of that instinct. He is like it. He knows it disappears, and he's like, what the? It disappeared. As he has kind of that instinct to catch himself on the fall. As Naruto, he jumps up on a very loose rock that was falling, or it was falling with him, because he hit his head on the thing. So rocks fell. As he jumps up and jumps on falling rocks until he reaches the last falling rock and jumps. He tries to activate his curse mark again, or supposedly curse mark. Let me say that. He tries to activate what he thinks is a curse mark and jump. As he fails, Naruto barely reaches the ledge, and his hand is on the grass, or it's not. It's like his fingers are in the grass. As he says, "I can't fall. I'll die." As his he says, "Think how to get that back. How do I get my curse mark back?" As I'm gonna just say it's a curse mark for now, but it's a supposedly curse mark to Naruto. So yeah, Naruto he's struggling as he's slipping, and he thinks about Elizabeth. Yeah, this is good. This is good. He thinks about Elizabeth, and he says, "I can't die. I can't." As his supposedly curse mark activates, and he basically he basically grows claws this time, and he jumps, or he like pulls himself up. But when he pulls himself up, he flies into the air. My bad. I'm sorry. He flies into the air, and he lands headfirst on the ground. As Naruto says, "Ah, my head," as he says, he opens his eyes to see that his head doesn't hurt anymore. As he says, what the hell? And he looks at his hands again as he sees a small little rock. As he gets it and he slices his hand open as he sees a darkness. He sees the darkness killing it. Naruto says, "This is so cool." As he says, maybe the villagers are. As he remembers how they partied and partied, and he doesn't know that they died because he was in that cave. So he remembers this partying and bottle throwing and the fireworks and everything. As Naruto says, like they would miss me. As he says, I don't want to go rogue, but it seems like that's the only thing I'm gonna have to do. As he this time he looks at the destroyed ravine. As he says, I'm not falling for your nasty tricks. As he jumps over it and says, wait, no. He says, I'm not falling for your nasty tricks again. As he says, Elizabeth, as he instantly regains thought of her, and he runs to the village. As he knows if he gets caught. Oh, wait, disclaimer. Naruto looked like Meliodas. Yeah, Naruto looked like Meliodas. He knows that if he gets caught, they're gonna be like, what the hell, demon? Or what the hell, weakling, I thought I killed you. Or I thought you died. And supposedly they would try to kill Naruto again, maybe. Or in his mind. But yeah, that's what's gonna happen actually. They're gonna try to kill Naruto if they find out he's alive. Because they don't want a weakling brat. In their minds, should I say. As Naruto, he wears the same let's see. He wears a cloak. Or yeah, he wears like a tattered hoodie. Well, not a hoodie, but it's like a tattered cloak, should I say. But it's not like a demonic cloak, it's just a cloak. Like that he picked up from the trash. As he puts it over his head and starts walking. As Naruto finds a couple, I don't know what it was called back in the Meliodas days. I would just call it euro. Yeah, he finds a couple euro on the he finds a couple euro on the floor, picks it up, and goes to the nearest food store, nearest market. Where it's not the market, it's like the outside selling stuff. That's what I'm talking about. Because you gotta make this realistic as possible. Can't be having no store like right there around the corner. No. And Naruto, he goes up to the lady, and she says, "You want some fried?" She says, "You want some cooked snake?" Just 1 yen. As he hands her the yen, as he says, "Thanks, kid." As he grabs a snake and bites it. It was actually pretty good. As Naruto walking to the kingdom, as he gets to the gate, it's like the kingdom, and it's like a wall around the kingdom, and it's a gate on that wall. He gets to the wall gate, as he says, two guards approach him and put the things. It says, can't enter. You should know this by now, kid. Come on, go away. Shoot. As he says, okay. He mutters that under his breath as he turns around and disappears. As they say, what the hell? Oh, probably just he says, kid probably been training or something. Not like he can beat us magical knights. And Lord Guild, no. Lord Guildlander is the same age as them, or not Lord Guild, but Guildlander is the same age as them. So is Hauser. Yeah, Hauser and Sasuke is in here too. Yeah, I got a plan for Sasuke. Sasuke's in here too. So Sasuke, and Elizabeth, she doesn't have a curse mark. I know what she have. It's actually, I don't know if I want to say that. I'm not gonna spoil anything else. Let me just stay on topic. Naruto goes and he jumps over the wall to get blasted by a barrier. As he says, "Damn it!" As he says, "Maybe my darkness can take it out." As he tries to focus his darkness, like he tries to spread his darkness into the. Well, he says maybe my curse mark can take it out. As he tries to spread his supposedly curse mark onto the thing. As he says, he tries to even into the thing. He says as his arm shakes violently as his wrist or not no his hand like goes into where like fist type, and he really can't feel any more blood in the hand as he reaches through with his blood lost hand, and he says it worked. As soon as he goes through, he sees the very pop up. As he says, "Damn it!" He says, "Nice. If I took any longer, probably be toast by now." As he's holding his arm and he's pumping it, he's pumping his shoulder, trying to get arm pumping back, trying to get blood pumping back. But Naruto, he's kind of cuckoo, dumb in this what if. So he doesn't know that he doesn't know that when you get a curse mark. Well, no. He says it should heal me, right? That's what it did to my hand. As he sees that he can feel his arm again, and he says, "Cool." As he runs into the kingdom, as he hears loud voices, and she hears one familiar voice. She says, he hears one familiar voice saying, "Dad, why?" He says, "Dad, where's Naruto? I haven't seen him in a long time." Wait, no. His name is gonna be Meliodas, but I'm gonna call him Naruto because I'll call him Meliodas later on is what if when he earns that title. Because right now I feel like he doesn't deserve it yet. He has to earn it from me. So yeah, let's earn Naruto this title. Naruto says, "Father, where's Naruto?" Slash I forgot his name. Meliodas. Oh my god, I forgot his name for a second. I was thinking Miguel. Alright, he says, I'm just gonna call him Meliodas. He says, "Where's Meliodas, father? I haven't seen him in so long. He's been gone for almost a week. He says we're supposed to play together today, and he's not even here." As she says, "I'm sorry, sweetie, but Meliodas is dead." As she said, no. That's too much for a 13-year-old in his eyes. He says, "Oh, Meliodas, he left. He As she says, he left what? He left where? To where?" As he says, as he says, what's it? The village where the King Arthur is. Yeah, that village. He's the one that picked up the sword. He says he left to wherever that village is. And he says, "Can we go there, father? Please, I wanna play with him again." As she says, "Not right now, sweetie." As in his head, he says, "I can't tell him that they killed the brat, that weakling. I'm happy he finally died. A weakling being around a strong person just doesn't add up." As he says, he looks at Gilder. He says, "Sir Gilder, could you please come here?" As he says, "Yes." As comes. And she says, no need for that. And he gets up. So Gilthunder gets up. As he looks at Gilthunder, then Elizabeth. And he says, her being an angel and him being a magic knight, they make a wonderful baby. As he's not thinking anything about his daughter, just about this kingdom. And he says, powerful king and a powerful queen. As he says, he whistles, and a man comes. His mage or sage. I think it was mage or sage. I'm pretty sure it's mage. Yeah, his magic sage. No, it's sage. I think. His wizard. I'm just gonna call her that. His magic wizard comes. And I'm just calling mage. His magic mage come. Yes, it's definitely mage. His magic mage come, and he says, I'm doing a wedding. Gilthunder and my daughter. By the time they're 18 winters old. As he says, yes sir, as he bows and disappears. As he says, Gilthunder, Elizabeth, I want you guys to get married. As Gilthunder says, he says, yes sir, I'll definitely marry your daughter. As Elizabeth starts crying, she says, I don't want to marry him, father. I want to marry Meliodas. As he says, no, you can't marry him. He's a weakling and he's dead. As she starts crying and runs off to her room and locks it with her sister. But she runs to her sister's room and locks it. As she says, Meliodas is dead. As he says, oh yeah, he is. As she says, you knew? As she says, yeah, who cares about that weakling anyway? As she's surprised that her so-called sister is actually saying this, as she says, I hate you. As she jumps out the window and lands on her. She's on the roof. She didn't commit suicide. No offense, but she didn't just jump out the roof to kill herself. She jumped out the roof and landed. That don't make sense. She jumped out the roof. She jumped onto the roof. She jumped out the window onto the roof. Let me say that. Yeah. And I don't have my time. My battery's gonna die. He says, Naruto says, that's her, alright. As he tries to, he focuses his supposedly cursed mark and jumps. As he jumps, he looks at Elizabeth. Oh shit, that hurt. He looks at Elizabeth, and Elizabeth looks at him, and she starts crying. And she knows, she sees something on Meliodas that she didn't see before. She knows he's different, but she doesn't care. She runs for a hug. Meliodas says, Elizabeth, as she starts crying, and she says, Meliodas, I miss you so much. My dad said you were dead, and then they were gonna make me marry Gilthunder. As he says, Meliodas says, why? As he says, because you were dead, and they said you were a weak brat. But I don't think you're a weak brat, Meliodas. Okay? As he says, yeah. Alright. He says, no, he doesn't say yeah, right. He says, thanks. Thanks, Elizabeth. And he kisses her on her cheek as she blushes. And he says, Elizabeth, we have to get out of here. As he sees, Elizabeth, we have to get out of here. As he sees magic knights climbing onto the roof, or flying. Wait, no, he sees his sister getting, climbing out the window to come get Elizabeth. And Magic Knight's coming towards the roof. As Naruto says, he says, crap. As he looks around and he looks up and he says, hopefully this works. As he says, he picks Elizabeth up as she blushes and says, Naruto, put me down, I can walk. As he says, no, I'm gonna have to do something for this. You'll see. It's gonna get us a great distance. Only if it works. As he runs and he activates his supposedly curse mark, jumps, and he barely lands on the cliff as he throws Elizabeth, and she pulls him up because he rather let Elizabeth live than him die. Or no, wait, I think I said that wrong. He wants Elizabeth to live, so he would kill himself for Elizabeth. But yeah. But he's really immortal. I'm gonna make him immortal. Him and Elizabeth. Yeah. Not with that. I'm saying too much. Naruto says, Meliodas, he says, now that he says we have to keep running. As he picks her up again, and he does the same thing, like a smooth 2 to 3 times, as they're about 2 kilometers away. And Naruto huffs as he falls down on his knee, as he's trying to catch his breath. As Elizabeth, she has a dress on. Yeah, she has a dress. And Meliodas has no shirt on, with pants and a tattered cloak. As he takes it off, and she starts blushing, and she says, Meliodas, are you okay? As he says, yeah, I'm fine. As he catches his breath, and he says, come on, let's hide. As Naruto creates what Meliodas should I say? Meliodas, he looks at a boulder, and he sees he destroyed it. Yes, she said, what? As she backs up and says, something's wrong. Your forehead, has something on it. As he says, oh, yeah, it's just a little small mark. I know. As she says, no, it got bigger. It's expanding. As it's the mark in it. It's the mark top left. Yeah, top left. That's the mark that he has. As he says, cool. As he says, this is a curse mark. As she says, you have a curse mark now? As Elizabeth says, Naruto says, yeah, don't you see it? As he giggles, and he says, but the thing is, this feels stronger than a curse mark. It feels like a demonic essence. As Elizabeth looks at it, and she remembers reading something in a book. It has to be plot. I'm just sorry. It has to be. He remember reading something in a book. He says, she says, Meliodas, or Meliodas. Why the fuck did I say that? He says Meliodas. Why? Oh no, she says Meliodas. I remember reading something in a book. It said something about that. It said that wait, I just noticed something. I'm sorry, but I just noticed this. That right there, the picture in the top right is the same picture in the bottom right. What the hell? Everything it is. Top one is just with no color. Well, yeah. So Naruto says. Naruto says. Actually, Naruto says. I mean, she says that's a demon power. As his eyes turn red too. Yeah, his eyes turn red. As he says, "What do you mean?" As he says, "I'm a demon." As she says, "Wait, no, I didn't. You're not a demon, Meliodas. That's just the power you have." As he says, he looks at her and he picks her up. As she says, "Ow, ow, ow!" As he drops her, he like puts her down really quickly and says, "Are you all right?" As she says, I don't know." As he holds her hand and she says, "Ow," again. She says, he looks at his hands to see. He looks at his hands and he's like, why can't I touch you?" And she says, he says, it must be because you're a human and I'm a demon. As she says, "Meliodas, you're not a demon. It's just, I'm a," as she looks down and she yells, "I'm an angel." As he says, "What do you mean?" As he says, "I was born an angel. I was just abandoned. And when I was abandoned, he, that king found me and took me in as his own." As she says, "Oh," I mean, Meliodas says, that's weird. I never knew that." As he says, "Yeah, he told me a couple months ago, on my 12th birthday, actually." Or yeah, he says not a couple months ago. He says he told me on my 12th birthday. As he says, "Oh yeah." He says, "Oh." As he says, "Wait, you're 13 now?" As she says, "Yes, silly." Oh, wait, no. He says, "No, no, I'm 12." He says, he sighs in relief. He says, "Oh, I thought you were 13." As she chuckles and says, "No, silly." As I mean, Meliodas, my bad. As Meliodas says, "I think I know why we can't touch each other. It's because you're an angel and I'm a demon." As she says, "Even though it hurts, I'll still hold your hand." As she blushes a little, and Meliodas says, "If it hurts too much, just tell me." As the curse marks are, or the demonic power goes to the first stage, and he holds her hand, and she doesn't feel anything. As he says, "Is is it hurting?" As she just says, "No, it's not hurting anymore." As she says, "You change back to that other stage you had." As he says, "That stage, it must be something." As he starts walking, they start walking, and he hears people behind him. As he says, "Crap, we have to hide." As he sees a tree he sees a tree, but like if you go under it, you can go in a stump. Should I say? And Naruto says, Naruto says, he says, he says, um, they're coming. As he says, "Shh, shh, shh, don't say anything." As they all run past Meliodas and Elizabeth. Naruto goes and Naruto says, yeah, well, Naruto says, says, "It's actually peaceful being with you," as he lays on her lap. And he says, "I think let's rest here for the night." As she said, "Okay, Meliodas," as she blushes and says, as Meliodas falls asleep. As she falls asleep, time skip, Meliodas wakes up and sees Elizabeth gone. As he instantly goes to the next stage of his demonic curse, as he runs out and sees Elizabeth right there, picking up flowers. As he calms down, still has that second stage active. As he says, "You almost had me, Elizabeth." As she says, "Hmm?" As she says, "I thought you left me." As she says, "What? No, it's just us now. I can't leave you." As he says, "You're so caring." And she blushes and says, she says, "Thank you." And he says, "No, thank you, Liz, for being here with me, even though I was weak from the beginning and I have a demonic power. Most people probably won't even want to touch me or look at me, but you're different." As he brushes her head, or like he runs his fingers through her head and says, "Thanks." And also, "Your hair's so soft. How'd you get it like that?" As she starts blushing, she goes super red and says, "Stop touching me." As Naruto chuckles, says, "Oh, sorry." As we get to a time skip. Actually, no, I don't want a time skip yet. As Naruto starts walking and he finds um he starts walking and he finds he comes up to a village, yeah. As he says, "These people there, they look bad." As she says, mate, Elizabeth says, "Yeah, they do look very evil. They're like criminals or gangsters." Or as he says, "Yeah, come on, let's cut through this way." As they take a like they take a whole another route, and them not knowing where they're going, they're just walking. As Elizabeth's stomach rumbles, as she says, she looks at Meliodas, and Meliodas looks at her and says, "Are you hungry?" And she says, "No, no, no, I'm not hungry." As she chuckles and says, "But your stomach is." And she says, "No, we just need to keep focused on walking. We can't focus on me right now." As he says, he stops her and grabs her hand and he says, "Elizabeth, if you're hungry, just say something." As she says, "Okay, I'm fine, I'm hungry." And he says, he looks at the town and he says, "Stay here." And she says, "No, you can't go in there. They'll probably beat you up or something." As she says, "It's fine." He says, "It's fine. As long as you have something to eat. I don't really care about myself." Or he says, "As long as you're fine. I honestly don't care about me." As she blushes and says, "Thank you," and pecks him on the cheek. Nar- Naruto says, Naruto says, as he blushes and says, "Thanks." As he runs off to the village, and he sees something, a drink. And as he sees the drink, and he says, "What is that?" As he he feels a liter of it, or a bottle of it up with the glass bottle. As Naruto says, as he steals a couple pieces of fried snake from a lady, or he steals two fried snake from from a lady and one bottle of this drink that he found. Now, I forgot what it was called, but yeah, let's get into it. Naruto walks up to Elizabeth and he says, "Here," as he hands her some snake. As he says, it's really good. I tried it when we were back at the our village. As she tastes it and she says, "Ooh, it's yummy." As she says, he, well, they both eat one. Then Elizabeth, Meliodas eats one, and there's one more left. As Meliodas, he's about to take a bite. As Elizabeth takes a bite. As they look at each other and blush and turn away. As she says, "You can have it if you want." As she says, "No, you can have it." As he says, "No, here." As she says, but you only had." He says, "Here, you had only one. I know you're probably still hungry." As she says, "What? No, I'm perfectly full. Not take it." As Naruto says, he bites a piece. And Meliodas bites a piece and says, "Here, then you bite a piece." As she bites a piece, and they do the same thing. As they realize what they just did. I mean, Elizabeth realizes what they both just did and blushes super red. As Meliodas says, "Are you alright? Did I do something wrong?" Or he says, "Are you alright? Is the snake harm me? Or are you about to puke or something?" As she says, "No, just never mind." As she says, "Okay." Naruto says, "Oh, okay." As Meliodas, sorry. As Meliodas says, "I wonder." He says, "Why was she so red?" As he realizes, and he says, he gets red for a couple seconds, and he says, "Oh, we basically kissed on the lips." As he smacks his forehead and says, "You idiots." As he drinks a swig of this so-called water or drink. As Naruto, he says, "This is really good." As he drinks another sip. As he says, "Wait, here," he says, "Here, Elizabeth." As she drinks some. As she says, "Oh, this is really good." As she drinks some more and more. As Naruto says, "It's all gone." That was very good. As Meliodas, actually no, time skip, to where they're both 15. Naruto is running a business, or Meliodas is in the Borat, the Borat. Naruto stretches, and he says, as he looks at Elizabeth and says, "She's always so pretty." As she turns around, "That's am I?" As Meliodas blushes and looks away. As Elizabeth looks at him and says, "Meliodas, Mama, let's never mind." She says, "Meliodas, I'm not gonna do all that. I'm not gonna do all of that." She says, "Meliodas, come on, we have to go." As he says, all right. As Meliodas, he doesn't have his. Actually, I'm not gonna say anything yet. I'm not gonna say nothing yet. They wake up. They get up, get changed, and they go into the bar. As the pig is walking, the hawk's mama, y'all know, sits down or she goes into random village, squeezing the ground, and then boom, Naruto says, hmm. Naruto says, hmm. As he says, or meliodas. He says, and she looks at Elizabeth, and he starts daydreams about her. As Elizabeth says, Meliodas, as Meliodas snaps out of it and says, yes, what is it? As she giggles and says, you were staring at me. As he says, oh, sorry. As as Naruto says, Meliodas, that's his name. Meliodas says, he says, now, when are we gonna get some customers? As he hears voices and says, this wasn't here yesterday. As he says, yeah, it wasn't. As he says, alright. As he says, I guess today I'll be the waiter. You can be the bartender. Today, Liz. As she says, Liz. As he says, yeah, I just got a nickname. Word nickname for you. As she says, she blushes and kisses his cheek, saying thank you. As Naruto, um, Meliodas gets flustered a little as he turns red, just a little bit, and Naruto says, mm, he says, mm, mm, mm. Can't believe this drink is so good. I remember my first time trying it. As he says, yeah, I remember that too, Meliodas-sama. Meliodas, not he said Meliodas. As she says, as Elizabeth says, hmm. Elizabeth says, so she says, so you no, wait. She says, Meliodas, um, she says, wait, she's after they get done serving the customers and they leave, start walking. She says, Meliodas, and she stops. As Naruto says, god damn it. Meliodas says, yes, what is it, Liz? As she blushes a little. And she says, what is it? And she says, I kind of have a question. As he says, what is it? As she says, like, I feel a strange power. It feels like my father's. As he says, Meliodas sighs and says, I think he found us. Elizabeth says, I think he found us. And she says, I swear I didn't give out our position. As Meliodas kisses her on her lips this time. And she blushes super red as he says, I know you did. You wouldn't do such a thing. As he laughs, he chuckles and says, he's probably bringing Guild Thunder with him too. As he says, this is annoying. As she says, I'm sorry, Meliodas, I'm a burden. If I wasn't here, she says, if I wasn't your friend, then, or no, she says, if I wasn't here, then none of this would have happened. Just if I wasn't born, as she's met with another kiss, Meliodas, as he says, shh, no, don't say those things to yourself. It's horrible. As he says, if you weren't born, I'd probably be dead right now. As she says, what do you mean? As he says, nothing. I can't harm your pure soul. As she says, okay. as he says, he laughs and says, or not laughs, he says, I wouldn't even have anything to live for if it wasn't for you, Liz. So don't say that. He says it under his breath. As she says, did you say something? As he says, no, I didn't. As meliodas says, okay, let's go. He says, Liz, I'm gonna be prepared to fight. I don't wanna harm you. As she says, no, I don't care if you harm my dad. He's an evil person. But, and she also says, I don't care if you harm anyone else who comes in his door. I just want it to be me and you alone. No one else, no drama, no anything. As he picks her up and, oh, by the way, he's still shorter than her. I mean, right now he's still short and she's taller than him. As she hugs him. As he says, this is a nice view. As she blushes and says, Meliodas. As he says, what, just saying. You always hug me like that. As he laughs and he says, now. As he activates his level 2 demonic power. I don't know what to call it. So I know a couple of the modes, but I don't know. I know a couple of them. Actually, no. He goes to Wraith combat mode. No. I think it's the one where his eyes look pale. I think it's called Wraith mode or something like that, or combat mode, or I would just call it. I really don't care what it's called. Same time I do. But he goes to rage mode, and he says, I dare them to walk through that door. As he says, I dare them. I promise you they'll die. As Elizabeth looks at Meliodas, and she says, he's gotten so handsome. As she blushes thinking about she blushes thinking about sexual things with Meliodas. As she shakes her head no and puts her hand over her face. As Meliodas says, what are you thinking? As she says, what? Oh, nothing. As he hears loud footsteps. As he says, now let's hide. As the door kicks open. As oh yeah, and by the way, the pig, she's not walking. She's or Hawk's mom not walking. She's chilling on the ground, in the ground sleep. So yeah. Naruto says, I see on Meliodas season. Meliodas says, I see you coming back. What do you want? As she says, my daughter. As Gilthunder says, my future wife. As Meliodas laughs and says, she's not marrying you. You're weak. As Gilthunder checks, he says, last time I checked, you didn't even have a. As he looks at his forehead and says, what the hell is that? How'd you get a curse mark? As he says, it's not even a curse. He says, this isn't a curse mark. It's a demon. And I'll show you. As his voice gets deeper, he says, I'll show you what a demon is really like. As he takes out guilt in his heart, and he holds it, and he crushes it. As he looks at the king, and he said, that was so easy. As he starts getting more eager to kill. As he says, he pulls out, he goes to he gets to the mode in the bottom left. Oh no, top right. He goes in that mode. But his eyes are like redder. They're redder. Actually no, they're dull. They're dull with the hint of red in them. Naruto says, or Meliodas looks at the king in his eyes and he says, I'll kill you. Liz even said she didn't want me to hold back. As Elizabeth pops up from the counter to see the form of of Meliodas that she hasn't seen in a long time. And Meliodas kills the king and takes his power. And takes his crown too, as he says, I'm the new king, bastard. As he kicks both of their bodies out and symbolizes Hawk's mom to start walking. As as she gets up and starts walking. As Naruto laughs demonically and says, I'll rule this world. He says, I'll rule this world and I'll kill everyone in it. As he turns around and to see Elizabeth as she says, Meliodas. And that's when we end this episode off.